What happens when the world's youngest internet flexer grows up? The internet thought we had seen the last of Lil Tay years ago, but her return has been even more controversial, more chaotic, and more disturbing than anyone expected. From fake deaths, shocking accusations against her own family, and now an OnlyFans rollout that broke records, the story of Lil Tay is one of the strangest internet sagas of the last decade. But the real question is, how much of it is really her, and how much is the people pulling strings behind the scenes? Back in 2016 to 2018, you couldn't scroll without seeing her face. A 9-year-old girl, sunglasses on, stacks of cash in hand, shouting at broke haters through your screen. "I'm only 9 years old, but I'm richer than all y'all," she bragged in videos, showing off cars, mansions, and designer clothes. She called herself the youngest flexer of the century, and whether you hated her or couldn't look away, you definitely knew her name. The act worked. She went viral overnight, gaining millions of views by flaunting a lifestyle most adults could never dream of. To the internet, she was outrageous, funny, and sometimes just plain annoying. But behind the flexing, something darker was brewing. It didn't take long for the truth to leak. Footage surfaced of her being coached, fed lines, and told exactly how to act. You could literally hear voices off camera pushing her to be louder, meaner, and more ignorant. Suddenly, what had looked like a confident child flexing on her own turned into something much uglier. People accused her family of exploiting her, calling it a twisted form of child abuse. Fingers pointed at her mother for letting it happen, and at her older brother for being the mastermind behind her persona. In one leaked clip, he could be heard coaching her insults, even telling her to redo takes to sound more ignorant. The backlash was brutal, and just as fast as she blew up, Lil Tay vanished from the spotlight. For years, she was gone. No viral clips, no flexing, no headlines until 2023. Suddenly, shocking news broke across the internet. Lil Tay had died. Posts claimed the teen rapper, real name Claire Hope, had tragically passed away, sending shockwaves through social media. But just as people were mourning, the story crumbled. The death was exposed as a hoax, with Tay and her brother claiming their accounts had been hacked. Whether or not that was true, the stunt left a bitter taste. To many, it looked like a desperate grab for attention, a clout-chasing scheme at its lowest point. And just like that, Lil Tay was back in the headlines, but this time, her reputation was worse than ever. After the fake death scandal, she returned with the same energy that made her famous years ago. Once again, she was flexing, calling out haters, and reminding everyone that she was still the youngest out. But this time, she also went after her own father. She accused him of being abusive, of mistreating her, and even claimed he posted disturbing personal ads online. She described being forced into uncomfortable clothing, fed bizarre diets, and living in horrible conditions. Whether the claims were true or exaggerated, they fueled the fire. Her audience couldn't look away. Instead of sympathy, though, much of the internet just saw more chaos and dysfunction. Lil Tay was back, but not in the way anyone expected. Then came the biggest twist. As her 18th birthday approached, Lil Tay began building hype not for music, not for a comeback album, but for something else entirely. She started teasing that she might launch an OnlyFans. Polls popped up asking if she should do it. Tweets and posts compared her to Cash Me Outside star Bod Babby, who had famously made millions overnight after turning 18 and starting her own account. Lil Tay began leaning into the comparisons. She teased photo shoots, hinted at adult content, and even posted censored recreations of risque celebrity photos, asking fans if she should copy them when she turned legal age. The internet was shocked, but also morbidly curious. Would she really go through with it? At midnight, on her 18th birthday, the countdown ended. Lil Tay announced that the link was live. Wearing a shirt that read, "Corn Star in Training," she confirmed the rumors. She had officially joined OnlyFans. The move sparked instant outrage, but also instant profits. Within just 3 hours, she claimed she had made over $1 million. $500,000 from subscriptions, $500,000 from private messages, and tens of thousands in tips. She branded herself as the youngest link of the century and bragged that nobody, not even her family, could stop her. In her eyes, she was finally in control. But to the outside world, it looked like the exploitation of her childhood had simply transformed into self-exploitation. The backlash was swift. Critics called it disturbing, exploitative, and sad, arguing that the internet had essentially groomed an exploited child into exploiting herself the second she turned 18. Many pointed to how platforms like Twitter had allowed her to promote this behavior months before she was legal, highlighting the dangerous gray area of modern social media. Others defended her, saying she was securing the bag and taking control of her own image after years of family manipulation. Some fans even celebrated her record-breaking earnings as proof of her dominance in the internet economy. But for many, the whole thing just felt slimy. Watching someone who became famous as a child now dive headfirst into adult content made people question how much agency she really had, or if she was still being pushed by the same people as before. The story of Lil Tay isn't just about one internet personality, it's about what happens when clout, money, and exploitation collide in the digital age. She started out as a 9-year-old, flexing wealth she didn't earn. She was coached, pushed, and manipulated for views, and when the internet turned on her, she disappeared. Years later, she came back, only to lean into the same cycle of shock and controversy, this time with her own body and image on the line. It raises disturbing questions. How much responsibility do platforms have when children are exploited for content? What happens when those kids grow up in front of millions of eyes, taught that attention is the only currency that matters? And is Lil Tay truly in control of her choices? Or is she still being used by the people around her? Lil Tay once flexed wealth she didn't earn. Now she's cashing in on herself. To some, it's empowerment. To others, it's exploitation. But one thing's for sure, the internet hasn't seen the last of her. The question is, how far will she go? And how much more will the world watch?